Do you love to win or hate to lose? Love to win or hate to lose? This is a question that I have been pondering for a very long time. And it's a question that I would like you to answer for yourself right now. Don't worry, there's no right or wrong answer, but I do think that the question and answer tells us a lot about ourselves. So what do you choose? Love to win or hate to lose? See, I have been a high-performance athlete, competitive sports coach, competitive in the business world for a very long time. I talk about winning and losing a lot, like every single day. So the first time that I heard this question, it was like I got punched. And I started to panic a little. But here's the thing. I was helping a colleague with some job interviews. And admittedly, he was asking the question of the candidate, but I'd never heard it asked before. His exact words were, do you love to win or hate to lose, and why? I tried to stay calm, but I started to think about what would I choose? And I wanted to yell, I choose both. I want both. Because here's the thing, I absolutely love to win. It's what fuels me, it fills me up, it drives me. It's what I teach people to do. But boy, oh boy, I hate to lose. I absolutely hate it. But don't worry, I can be a pretty gracious loser, but I certainly don't let it go very quickly either. So that's why the question really took me by surprise. And so I've spent a lot of time over the last few years thinking about it, talking to people about it, and asking them, what would you choose? So as we go along today, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this question and why I think it's important. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about my journey and my experience as a coach, as an athlete, and as a proud Mount A alum. I will say, though, that if you had told 17-year-old Angela that I would be standing here sharing my story, I would have thought you were straight up crazy. A lot of my story started right here on the rugby field at Mount Allison. So this is not a picture of me, but it is one of the athletes that I coached in high school and who is also a proud Mount A alumni. The reason I picked it, though, is because I think it very accurately describes how I go headfirst bulldozing into every single day. But let me back up a little bit, or a lot, actually. Who the heck am I? Who is Angela? Well, I have had a very colorful life, a very colorful journey since my days at Mount A. I have had a journey as a competitive athlete, as, I've been very successful in the corporate world. I have been a coach for hundreds and hundreds of athletes in rugby and multiple other things. I also happen to be a proud wife and mom to two very adventurous, active little boys who definitely keep me on my toes. A bit about me, though. Another interesting part of my story after I left Mount Allison was my foray into athletic therapy. It's how I started my career. Back in 1999, I decided that I was going to find a position in the CFL. So at the time, it was definitely not easy to do this. And I honestly lost track of how many people told me it was impossible. But to be honest, I just stopped listening. I decided that this was something that I felt that I was meant to do. And so as you can see, I did it not just once, but for a couple of years. How did I do it, though? That's the fun part. This was back at a time where email was just starting. So it was old school, picking up the phone, calling all the teams, writing letters, yes, by hand, writing letters, putting them in envelopes, mailing them, and basically begging my way to do it. But here's the thing. No one gets to tell you what you are capable of. If you decide that you're going to do a thing, then you absolutely can do it. And so this is evidence for me. I sometimes forget that I have done this, but it is evidence that you can do anything that you set your mind to. Another part of my story that I am quite proud of is my work as a mental health advocate. It has been a long journey for me since I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. I wasn't diagnosed until I was 27. But over the last number of years, I have made it my mission to show up and to share my stories and to talk about, my struggles and my wins with mental health. Sometimes that means showing up as the very best version of myself, and sometimes it means showing up in tears and talking about, how I got through a tough situation. But at the end of the day, I think what is most important is that I decide to show up, and it's my mission to help other people. So about 5 years ago, though, I decided to make some drastic changes in my life. I changed jobs, I let go of a lot of responsibilities, I started taking better care of my health, I started doing meditation, I started thinking about more intentionally about mindset. I started doing all of the things that I had put on the back burner. And along the way, I created a movement and an event called Work of Heart, which was basically created to help people take better care of themselves. So it's been 5 years since that happened, and I am so proud of the community that I have built and that have continued to be around me, that continue to build each other up and to just be there for each other and to talk about all of the most important things in life. One of the other parts of my identity that I am most proud of is my role as a coach, and most specifically as a rugby coach and sports coach. I had the privilege to coach at Mount Allison for a couple of years. And as you can see, I am not exactly the most calm Zen coach. I am loud. I am intense. I am animated. I sometimes have a tendency to get carried away, but I think you get the picture. So what I want to talk to you though about, I get a question a lot. People ask me how I do it, how I've done it, how I've been brave and how I've been courageous, where I get my confidence. And to be honest, there have been many times where I'm not really sure how to answer it, because there's days where I don't feel like any of those things. I don't feel like I can make a decision. I don't feel like I can show up. I don't feel like I can perform. But I started to think about what are the tools that I use and what are the tools that I can share with you to become the MVP of your life. So yeah, of course we know what MVP means. You can be the MVP of your team, you can be the MVP of your company, but what does it mean to be the MVP of your life? It's not exactly what you think. I want to talk about mindset, visualization, and power. These three things are within us right now, and they are absolutely the most important tools that we have access to. A lot of people spend years looking for external things to help fill them up and to help them feel better. They, do more education. They, look for more experience. They read books. They take courses. They're, forever searching. But the reality is we have everything that we need within us right now to be the MVP of our life. One of my all-time favorite things to talk about, and one thing that many people will associate with me, is mindset. It is absolutely the most powerful tool that we all have access to. It can literally change your life in good ways and in bad ways. Mindset is the thing that we tap into when we decide that we are going to do something. It can help you, if you have a goal or a dream or a vision, it can help you make that happen. But it can also stop you as well. It can tell you that you're not capable. It can tell you that you're not worthy. It can tell you that that sounds impossible. They're a liar, by the way. That's your inner critic talking. One of my most favorite stories, though, of mindset actually came from my own son. He's 14 now, but he was 8 at the time. This is my son, Campbell. And he had just joined a new hockey team to play in a tournament. And so, as many hockey games go, as it happens with most hockey games, the hockey game ended up going to a shootout. And of course, my son was picked to be in the shootout, the last shooter. Back to the question we started with, do you love to win or hate to lose? I love both, but I hate shootouts. So of course, Campbell took his turn, and goal! He scored. Amazing, right? So, we waited for him. After the game, little 8-year-old Campbell came out. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. I, asked a simple question. I'm like, so were you nervous? He said, no. I'm like, okay. All right, so I thought, well, I'll try something else. Like, well, you must have been a little bit nervous, right? Like that was a hard thing to do. And he kind of looked at me like I was crazy, and he's like, no, I wasn't nervous at all. I knew I was going to get it in. And this is not an egomaniac child. I wanted to stop and point out, like, oh my goodness, but you didn't know what the goalie was going to do. He might have gone right or left, or, you could have slipped, or you could have this. And I wanted to present him all these what ifs and scenarios. And then all of a sudden, I realized the most important thing was what Campbell thought. The most important thing was that Campbell knew that if he showed up and did his best and he believed what was possible, all of the other things didn't matter. And that lesson has never, ever left me. One of my all-time favorite books when it comes to mindset is called The Alter Ego Effect by Todd Herman. I still remember the day that I picked this book up for the first time. It had been chosen as the next book club book, and I was standing in chapters on vacation in St. John's, Newfoundland. And so I decided to pick up this bright yellow book to take a look through it and kind of see what it was about before I bought it. And I still remember flipping through the pages and all of a sudden realizing that my deepest secret had been revealed. See, the subtitle of this book is The Power of Secret Identities to Transform Your Life. And unknowingly, 20 years before this, when I started at Mount A, I had been given a nickname. The nickname is Scrange, because I'm a little bit scrappy and sassy. I've got a little bit of attitude, I will admit, and so I had the nickname Scrange. Here's where it's interesting, though. See, growing up, I was not an all-star athlete. I was, an okay athlete. I, played a lot of different sports, and I was all right at them. But when I got to Mount A and I started playing rugby, and I had the nickname Scrange, that's when things started to shift and change for me. What I realized when I started to look back at it, was that Scrange had become my secret identity. See, Scrange was a superstar athlete, maybe in her mind, but she always knew what to do. She knew how to show up. She knew what to say. She had the most confidence. She had the biggest personality. She was phenomenal. And yes, Scrange was me, but she was someone that I tapped into when I needed to do hard things and when I needed to show up. And so I encourage you to stop and to think about what are the things that you want to do? How do you want to show up? And what are some things that you can do to really propel that and make it happen for yourself? I will add that Scrange did some pretty amazing and maybe crazy things over the years. As I said, I wasn't a superstar athlete, but I worked very, very hard. And I did find myself at an under 23 Rugby Canada camp because of my efforts. I don't know if it was me, I don't know if it was Scrange, but I do know that it was an important part of my journey. And I'll tell you why. Visualization is what I learned when I went to the Rugby Canada camp. And it is something that I have, used probably almost every single day of my life. It is something that you can use in sports, it is something that you can use in the business world, and it honestly is an absolute game changer. Any elite athlete will tell you that the mental preparation and the mental part of the game is almost more important than the physical one. It is absolutely integral. I have spent so much time teaching people and athletes and business people how to use this. Right now, I can tell you, I'm scoring a try looking right at you right now. So I can see, I can see the field, I can see the uprights, I can see the try line, I can smell the grass, I feel the wind in my hair, and oh look, I just scored again. So what I've just described to you is known as imprinting. As I said, you can use this, before a job interview, before something that that you want. I've used it. I teach people to look at a business card in your mind, imagine your name on it and your title. There are so many ways that you can do this. And basically, visualization is taking something that you want to do or achieve and breaking it down into smaller chunks. And you keep rehearsing it over and over and over in your mind until you have it exactly right, until it's exactly what you want it to look like. Visualization, as I said, is something that you can do. It is something that you have access to right now. It's basically taking time and energy to figure out what it is you want, what's your vision, what's your goal, what's your dream, and thinking about how you can break that down into bite-sized pieces. The other part of MVP is power. And yes, I'm showing Wonder Woman. This is a common one that people use for confidence and for courage. It's known as power pose. But I had an interesting thing happen on the way over here. Not planned. As you may be picking up on, most things that have happened in my life did not go according to plan, but they've turned out pretty well. But on the way over here, as I was getting into my car, my papers all went flying down the street. So here I am running down the street, in the rain I might add, trying to catch all my papers, trying to get everything back in order. My mindset was not in the right place. I was not feeling very powerful. And so I have, a huge toolbox of things that I've developed over the years to tap into my power pose being one of them. But this one today required a little bit more. I had to try some different things. I was blasting the music, I was clapping my hands, I was snapping my fingers. I was trying to figure out exactly what I needed to do to tap back into my power. And so for you today, I would encourage you to try different things. Some of them might feel silly or crazy at first, but I assure you that having a huge toolbox of things for your mindset and mental toughness can literally change your life. As I said, power pose is one. Another one, people will do the wide, almost, the wide spread arms, almost as if you're embracing the world, clapping very loudly. Blasting music is what I use today. But, make sure that you try different things so that, on a tough day or a tough situation or something that you've never been through before, that you've got things that you can tap into and to use when you most need them. Any athlete will tell you that while determination and focus and tenacity are important, the best athletes, the biggest, best leaders, all show up with heart. They show up and do things from the heart and make sure that they have, given absolutely everything of themselves. So make sure that you start to recognize, what's important for you, what might be a trigger for you, or what might be something in a positive way that can trigger you to do more or to do better. There is a well-known coach and guru of performance, of mindset, and mental toughness by the name of Tim Grover. He has worked with the likes of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, NFL, NBA, Olympic athletes, you name it. And so when a friend sent me this quote, it really, I felt like it just summed everything up quite nicely. The greatest athletes have the shortest memories. The greatest athletes have the shortest memories. The shortest memories for losing, for winning, for things that have happened in their lives. They don't get too caught up on the scoreboard. They don't get too caught up in a loss or a win. They focus on what is in front of them, and they decide how they want to show up. And so at the end of the day, back to the question, do you love to win or hate to lose? As I said, there's no right or wrong answer. There is no, right way to do this. But I hope that you decide that what is most important for you is how you choose to show up. It's how you choose to put things into perspective. And it's how you decide to play the game. I truly hope that over the next couple of years, you have the opportunity to choose what is best for you. I hope that you take chances. I hope that you have the opportunity to have fun. And I hope that you realize that you can do hard things. Most importantly, I want you to realize that you have 3 things within you: mindset, visualization, and power that you can tap into right now. So, how do you want to play the game of life? You decide. Thank you.